There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues, with capital the heart of their design? When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no, which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print, say that this thing has got to go, and we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
All right, only 10 million steps to get us on air. Hello, cousins. Thank you for joining us. We are glad to be back with you. We have our own Mr. Mayor Jared with us. A pleasure to have you with us today, Mr. Mayor Jared.
What's going on, everybody? I'm here, I am present, but it was a different order of stuff. It usually is the first thing I do in my day, but since we're back by an hour, I'm like, let me try and do all these things before I'm showered. Look at me, I'm in my freaking button shirt and everything.
Looking all tidy.
Very official.
Yeah, nice.
Almost
Excellent.
official enough to have headphones on so I can turn off my speakers. We had an interesting problem before I came on the air today, which was because we've learned, we've received, actually both of them were gifts from people. What are they called? Uninterruptible power sources. It's just like a big battery that you'll plug your computer into.
Wow.
So if your power goes out while you're in the middle of doing something on your computer or anything you plug into it, it doesn't go off. It's just a big battery. The battery kicks on. And we're both sitting here like, yo, did the battery in the living room kick? Like, why is my thing on? What's happening? So I think our power flickered for like 1 second because we're all like, no,
You're booting
everything works. Everything's fine. The lights are on. But why did the battery start beeping at us?
Yeah.
That's how you know the power went out. You're beep, boop. You're like, all right, something's wrong. Either the breaker tripped or we're all out, which is funnier because we have buried power lines. So it's not like a car can hit a line and take our power out because they're underground. It can't be like, oh, we started because that prevents fires. It's a good thing on the West Coast to do because a lot of like these forest fires start from power lines. Like, well, if you bury the power lines, that shit just goes into the ground. It doesn't then like create a large fiery inferno. But I think they haven't touched them since they were put in the ground because I've had more power outages here than when I lived in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, which is very odd.
Yeah. Somehow we stopped having them as much as we used to have them here. So
power's gone out like 6 times since moving here. It's like one a year. It's like, what? We don't have blizzards or anything here that would knock out our power.
Wow. Well, that's good because if it does, then you will be able to stay on, eliminating at least one tech problem that we usually have. So this is a pretty monumentous occasion for us on Social Contract. And it is our, just approximately, because I don't know the exact date, but I know it's like the second week of November. But this is our 2-year show anniversary episode. Hooray! Hooray for us. Everything's been shit, so we've been on for 2 years. So it's exciting, but for the wrong reasons. Also, we're pretty close to being able to say that we have hit 100 episodes. So we'll just put all the celebration in here, and because some of the time when we were first starting off, some of the episodes broke into pieces. So I don't know the exact total, but I know we're close. So we are. So we're 2 years in. We're 100 episodes in approximately. So hooray for us. But we wish it were for better reasons. But because we're always talking gloom and doom, we're going to have some, try to keep it light for this episode. And we have a bonus episode coming towards you right after. So stay tuned. And Jared is going to put on his teacher cap, like the hats, the weird hats. And
That's right, baby. We're gonna be reading about Robert Owen and all these other socialism, scientific, and utopian, which is
yeah,
Engels. And it's not that Engels and Marx are the same person, but between the two of them, they're pretty darn good. There's a reason we
yes.
still talk about them all the way in the big 2025.
Right. And yeah, because it's interesting how everybody's like onto this whole thing, but like there's a lot of historical precedent for this, like all of it actually. So we can talk about what is already known, what has been tried. So yeah, after the show, tune back in if you want to learn some theory and about some history that's actually gone on in all of these experiments in socialism throughout time. We and he'll be talking more about try not to bum us out, but more about why
No, it's
the
very interesting. I think it's fun. I think it's
well,
positive.
it'll be yeah, where we're going to talk about maybe some because we had always intended to be more solution based. It just doesn't work out that way, so it comes off as a lot of complaining. But we'll talk about obviously like we are the ones that we have to save. We have to save ourselves. These problems are completely fixable, and we can kind of dig into that a little bit, and then he will tell us why we have to do that because nobody is going to come and save
No
us,
one is
and
coming to save
the
you.
system will not work, and it is designed not to work for the vast majority of people.
Even in
Shout out.
Christianity, no one is coming to save you. They tell you Christ has no body now but yours, no hands but yours. Yours is the work. All right.
Oddly, we've had to delve into some weird religious stuff the last couple of episodes. It is not intentional. It is not a code shift. Shout out to the chat. Hey to Time Traveler, who says congratulations. Thank you. Nathan Coyote says yay. And hello to you as well.
Thanks for hanging out, Nathan.
Glad to have you. Glad that you could celebrate live with us. As always, you can check out all of our past episodes on our YouTube and our Rumble channels. We are everywhere. And if you ever see us that you want to tell us something or something that you'd like us to talk about, then just hit up our socials where we're all over the place. You can easily find us. So, so okay, I guess we can get to it then. As
Hell yeah.
you probably have heard in this past week, it hasn't been a huge news week. The government's going to probably reopen. Democrats caved, and they shan't have because why bother doing it if they were just going to do it anyways, which we knew that they were going to do. Except liberals are just absolutely losing it right now, and I would be remiss if I didn't be like, tee hee hee.
I feel
You know,
bad. Like I've just been there. We've
Yeah.
all been there, and it's weird. Either people have a short memory or something's happening.
Yeah, they do. They do. That is always what happens. It's every election. It's like nevertheless. And it's like, we complain pretty endlessly about Zoran Mamdani. We're hopeful that he can prove us wrong, but he's already been doing, falling into line like every single step of the way. And, it's nice to see people happy for a minute, but we're about a week away from liberals telling us we don't understand how government works and explaining incrementalism. So, get used to that, get ready for that. But when you see the liberals start to get angry, are we onto something? Or are we just going to bide our time for a couple of years? So there's that. But we will be doing a lot of complaining about that. It would be nice if he could be who he has projected himself to be. But we
The
know
big
better.
relevance of Zoran this particular week is that within so we just had this big election, right? Or actually, it wasn't even just Zoran. There were elections all over. It was
Right.
not much happened in Arizona. We had some propositions, and that was like last month. We don't
What
have
was
any
it? Virginia now has their own CIA governor. So
But we had a mini little this wasn't quite the midterms. That's next year, but these
Right.
are the quarter terms, whatever.
quarter term.
And we had as close to a quote blue wave as you ever see.
Mhm.
And then what happened within a week of are we okay to segue into the Democrats not giving up and dropping healthcare and shit once
Well,
again?
that's the whole thing. It's like this is what we are out to prove here. Like obviously, it's time to take it's way past time to take things into our own hands and realize our power as people
We
and
have to
together.
wait 300 to 400 more years.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. There's a lot of bandying about this being like the collapse of the American empire. They only last, empires generally only last about 250 years. Guess what we're about at? Blah 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 blah. But if you look into history, it can take hundreds of years for a country to really collapse. And then when it does, it's not good. You know, like you think it's bad now, it will be Walking Dead for a while. Like if we really did, you know, experience collapse, because we're on the rocket ride right now. The fascism spiral has begun. And something that really drives me crazy in all of this is that Democrats, or I'm sorry, Republicans, they are in charge. They do deserve the lion's share of blame for this, just because they are the figurehead at this time. But you know, we were put into this place by like very fascist Democrats, and who, you know, continue to be. So you know, that's why we're constantly ragging on Democrats on this show. You know who the Republicans are. They don't hide it. But the Democrats, you know, try to smile to your face and stab you in the back, and they love to do it for some reason, and it's been going on for ages. So hopefully we can kind of maybe I guess empower you a little bit with some knowledge, or drop some knowledge on you about what exactly, you know, kind of things that we could do to fix these problems, because these problems are very, very fixable. And you've heard me say a million times on this show that Americans have no bite. They have no fight left in them. I guess we did that. Civil rights, it was like the last time, and then like it's over. Can't do any more fighting. So Americans will bend and bend and bend and bend, and when they hit the breaking point, they'll bend some more. So you know, it's really hard to organize. It's really hard to get people to listen, and we cannot rely on, again, someone to come and save us, or the government to just wise up and save us. Why do you think this just keeps happening over and over and over and over again? And then you'll have people doing verbal and mental gymnastics to try to justify it, and they cannot justify it. So it's like, when are you going to get tired enough to stay tired? That's the question. And that's a rhetorical question, because you got to, you know, go in your own dome, in your own heart, and think about that kind of thing.
Well, I'm not going to bury the lead on my point in bringing this stuff up, because my entire point here is my point is electoralism in its current form does not do anything in the U.S. because we do not have a democracy. The will of the people does not matter. It you can like get real mad about the thing, but it doesn't lead to any actual change. And this has been studied by like international groups who just check countries' democracies and go, okay, let's look at what do the general people want and what happens in government. And ours is so insanely disconnected. Remember, 80% of the country wants healthcare to be figured out in some freaking way, and that includes a majority of Republicans. So this whole two-party thing, it makes no sense. The Senate took a massive step forward on its. We're going off Fox News today because Vox had a paywall, so I couldn't read off them. The Senate took a massive step forward on its way to reopening the government on Sunday, with a group of Senate Democrats caving and joining Republicans in their bid to pass a revamped plan to end the shutdown. Signs that, and remember, okay, this you might be even thinking like, well, but Jared, they're the minority party right now. They can't possibly do anything. Don't worry, we're getting to that. Signs that the shutdown, which entered its 40th day, could be ending became more and more clear as the day went on, particularly with the unveiling of a bipartisan package of spending bills that lawmakers hope to attach to a modified bill to reopen the government. 8 Senate Democrats across the... Isn't it crazy? Anytime you need you need this stuff to stay exactly 50-50, just one more seat, just one more election. This is the most important election of our lifetime.
It's all people who were not going for re-election or are retiring.
Well, in this case, it doesn't matter how many goddamn Democrats you vote in. They will find a magic way that one of them, somebody will slip on a banana peel out a window, crack their head, become John Fetterman. Now suddenly I'm right wing. Whoa, like
Whoa.
Something will. Susan Collins or some motherfucker is gonna come out. Like something will happen every time, and it has
parliamentarian.
Just have a memory longer than 5 minutes, and you can just keep track of this shit yourself. I'm not smart. I just remember things, like not even a lot of things. Just remember the last time this happened. Okay, among the defectors were, oh my fucking god, I can't even believe it, John Fetterman. Among the defectors are, I need to calm down, Senators Angus King, we got Maine, Pennsylvania, Nevada. I don't give a fuck who these people are. Tim Kaine. Wow, remember that guy? Remember Randos. Celebrity Tim Kaine? He was going to be the first male
and
woman
who was,
vice president.
It was Angus King who went on, I think, CNN, and they're like, what happened? And they're like, you can't fight Trump. The end. Bye-bye. And it's like, what? What?
But yeah, once again, the specifics I don't even fucking care about the specifics. I'm just mad today, I guess. I don't even care about the specifics. Once again, it worked out that the Democrats all came together to make sure the government would be open, but in a way that, oh, sorry, we're not making sure they're going to fund Medicare or Medicaid, but they are getting a vote on it. Hilarious.
And
So
and what was it really like? Why did you put people through this whole SNAP situation? Why did you make them think that you might fight for healthcare? Because there were a whole bunch of elections that just happened, and curiously, and also finally, I think the real breaking point was, well, we can starve out the country, but better not mess with the flights. Don't mess with the flights.
it sure
So,
kind of seems like what it was, right? Because it's like, well, if you already gave us a month where all this shit shut down, why now? Why you're now like, okay,
exactly.
never mind. Actually, it's all fine. We don't. You're going to give us a vote on Medicare. I want to bring us back to a few years ago when there was another very important vote for Medicare, for medical stuff. Not so far back as Hillary Clinton when she was the vice president. Not vice. She wasn't the vice president when she
No.
was. That was her like first lady project. Was,
Yeah, it was
I'm going to fix
yeah.
healthcare. In
Yeah.
the 90s, we were talking about let's get
Yeah.
some healthcare done.
And she
People
got
have
smeared at the
lived,
time.
had kids, and died while waiting for the Democrats to get their shit together on
Yeah,
healthcare.
people have been born and died in
An
this space
entire
of time.
generation has passed. Here's the
Yes.
last time. This is from like 2020. Yeah, December 2020. Okay. Y'all remember Force the Vote? This is how they behaved with a majority. This
Yes.
is how they.
This
I'm
was
not
also
even going.
the closest we ever got to really having a leftist voice in the political sphere.
Oh, there was a
because-
voice. The voice just didn't extend to the voting part. Like,
right,
she
because
talked.
this whole concept, it's not like he invented it, but the concept was really popularized by Jimmy Dore. He was the one that was really like force a vote.
Don't
Force
read
a vote.
my tabs.
Oh, geez.
Jimmy Dore is right. AOC should force the vote. Force the. That's when they decided Jimmy Dore was right wing. By the way, was when he said we should all get medic. We should be forcing a vote on everyone getting
That's
health
the
care.
closest we've
You
come to having like
Nazi.
an actual voice in any of this. Like constantly
This is
they're
the
being
popularity.
right.
This
But
was
yeah.
the heap of the popularity of regular ass people like believing in this. This was even after
Right,
they
yes.
fucked over Bernie a second time. Like, well, we got all these senators and Congress people. Surely something will happen. AOC rejects left-wing calls to force Pelosi to hold a Medicare for all vote. I hope they bring up some of the reasons they gave because they're just like hysterical. The whole like, oh, we can't do it because of this, because of this, because of this. They were telling us that we couldn't force the vote on Medicaid or Medicare for all, whatever, because it would have made Speaker Mike Johnson. I'm sorry, it would have made Mike Johnson the Speaker of the House. Hey, who's the Speaker of the fucking House? It's a guy named Michael Johnson. Also, that's ridiculous. There's no way that, like, well, if we don't vote on healthcare, the Republicans just get to run everything. It's like, that's not how it works. Like, they treated it like it was some weird board game where the rules were
Yeah.
all the red seats flip blue and vice versa.
I'm curious if that happened anyway.
Exactly.
So-
It wouldn't even change anything if it did. House Speaker
Fast
Pelosi.
forward 5 years later.
She can afford to lose the support of only a handful of her House because that was the situation. We had the squad. That's the whole point of the squad in the first place was if we get electoralism, if we get 5 or 6 people in there, these majorities are really slim. So if we can get only like 5, 6, 7, a handful out of the 300 or whatever, 500 people who are in Congress, we can actually force the vote. And what was the vote? It was an up-down vote on Medicare for all. No, it wasn't going to pass. Clearly, but you were going to get everybody on record. Like, look, they voted no healthcare. They voted yes healthcare, and you would actually get something. Even though that isn't
Right.
doing anything, it's symbolic, and we couldn't get a symbolic fuck vote because that's how nothing they're gonna hand you in terms of freaking crumbs of crumbs. A handful of outspoken left-wing activists are pressuring Rep. AOC and other House progressive lawmakers to take advantage of this vulnerability to force a vote on one of their leading issues, Medicare for All. The commentator Jimmy Dore and Brianna Joy Gray, Bree's all right, she goes back and forth. Senator Bernie Sanders, 2020 presidential campaign spokesperson, that's Brianna Joy Gray, who now calls Bernie a fucking snake, which he is. Presidential campaign spokesperson led calls for Democrats to refuse to vote for Pelosi unless she first holds the House floor vote on it. Oh, that's right, they were fighting Democrats, everybody. They weren't fighting Republicans to get this vote. They were fighting their own stupid-ass party. Led for Democrats to refuse to vote for Pelosi unless she holds the first House floor vote on a single-payer healthcare plan in which the government gives insurance coverage to all U.S. residents. They said progressives would be foolish to waste what they considered a golden opportunity to promote Representative Pramila Jayapal, who, is she in the fucking office anymore? Medicare for All legislation amidst a raging pandemic and with millions of newly uninsured Americans.
Right.
You know, what a bad time to start doing this healthcare shit, right? When everyone's starting to die.
And
Force
they
the-
used it to their advantage too, because they kind of made it sound like we're going to do it. We're really going to do it, guys. We're going to do it. So they really reeled a lot of people in.
Well, they said if you don't vote for Nancy Pelosi, somehow magically the Republicans just gain control. Like a bunch of seats just flip, I guess, and you're forced to be a Republican or something. Force the Congress to show you what side they're really on, Dorr said during his YouTube show this week. He accused AOC, prominent advocate of Medicare for All, of pretending to be part of a movement, but in reality, running cover for Nancy Pelosi. We now consider Jimmy Nor a Nazi, by the way. That's the level that he's at. They've called him the most right-wing man of all time. And what is he here? AOC specifically telling us to pressure her and the Democrat Party to pass Medicare for All. Yeah, that's, remember, bring a ruckus. She's like, we got to send somebody up there who's really going to do something. I'm not bringing this up because of AOC specifically. I'm bringing it up because we're just here again. We are back in the exact same place we were in 2024, in 2020, back when fucking Obama was elected on the, like, I'm going to make sure abortion is like the Freedom of Choice Act is the first thing I'm going to do. How many times? Like, how many times are they allowed to lie to you? And then you have to turn around and tell me that I'm wrong because I say they're lying to us.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody just forgets and like votes these people back in or thinks they're going to, a clever meme is going to save
vote.
the world.
Period.
Here.
They go back and vote again. Like, how fucking stupid. It's like going back to the casino after you lost your goddamn house.
Yes, and this, I think, is maybe the best example of the government is fake that we have ever had in the modern era. Because
there's the government, you just don't get to fucking vote for them. They would never risk you being allowed to vote for them.
Well, this was not like the government decided. The pharmaceutical companies decided. The insurance companies decided. This was their bidding. This was their decision.
Pfizer needs another $1 billion, damn it. And that shit is passing.
Right. And that's the whole thing. Like, this is a very, very clear. And then now we're at a stage where nobody cares. There's just completely transparently fake. Nobody cares that this stuff anymore. And as we're, what the one thing Trump has really done is taxed the system in a way that's shown like, I don't care. You told me court ordered said what? I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna do it. And then like there's no recourse. There's no consequence. And we've never had that before where somebody was told no or a president was told no, and then they were just like, so what? Like this is kind of new territory in that way.
So this is reading from Socialist Alternative. Socialist Alternative, they seem to be relatively real, at least some of the time. I mean, what I've seen from, they got was it Camila Jayapal, freaking the other. There was a lady who was a Seattle city council member, and she was for the Socialist Alternative. I don't think it was Jayapal. She's an Indian lady, and she has a name that I have a hard time saying. But every time I hear her talking, Sawant, freaking something Sawant. And what happened to her? Oh, she got voted out of her fucking seat in the Seattle City Council. Why? Because she refused to become AOC. She refused to change all her opinions and just give up on freaking... Oh, she's always running. She's always trying. She's always in there. Yeah. I mean, as much as I say, and she'll be like, elections are a bunch of bullshit, but like, I mean, I'm here, I'm going to run. So that's fine. Right? If you're running and you're not going to change everything that you ran on, sure, go ahead, run elections. If you win, awesome. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to do anything, but at least, I don't know, at least you're in there.
Which is our criticism of Mondani.
Exactly.
Not going to be able to do anything.
He's not in there to like hold a spot and be like, look, I'm trying to do all this good stuff and they just won't let me. It's going to be, let me just be a nice unsqueaky wheel in this machine that just keeps things going in the same direction they were gonna. All right, so now we have freaking, there's just them talking about Jimmy Dore's right. AOC should force a floor vote on Medicare for all. This was when you found out this was it. If AOC had done this, you could make some, and many other things throughout the years, but you can make some argument for, no, there's good people in there fighting for us, people representing our interests. The second this happened, you should have been out. And if you're too young to remember this, you're now becoming informed of it. You now know about this, and you have to take that knowledge, and I know it's heavy, you have to keep it in your fucking head for maybe a couple of years until this exact same thing happens again. When could it possibly be more obvious that a Medicare for all type healthcare system guaranteeing healthcare to all and eliminating private insurance is an essential and moral reform in the United States? ? We are in the midst of a pandemic. This is written in 2020. A pandemic triggered economic crisis that has left nearly 15 million unemployed workers without insurance, while COVID rips through the country, killing thousands of people each day. What better time than in the middle of a government shutdown when you're about to lose all of your ass?
Right? I mean, it was a prime time to do it all the way around. It was
Remember,
like there was no greater time
shutdown,
to do it.
so let the shutdown be Trump's and let it get really, really bad. And you're just like, look, man, we're standing here with this vote, and they just won't. Sorry, we got to do healthcare and shit. And whenever they want to do healthcare, we can open the government. Leave it shut down for 5 years. Maybe people will start forgetting about the government. We can all move on.
Yeah, and then that this another thing is like we have people that are begging them to God, I'm so angry. We're begging them to like give us more for-profit healthcare, please.
That's it. That's all this even is.
Make this horrible situation slightly worse instead of taking any kind of actual initiative like you could have 5 years ago.
This month you have fucking RFK announcing they're going to give billions of dollars to the company that makes Ozempic.
We don't have to look at
but we got to stop this evil, terrible big pharma with only a couple of billion.
Right? Yeah. They're like, hey guys,
everyone's
guess
just
what?
full
You
of
don't have to
shit.
look at fats anymore. We're gonna get a deal, and you don't have to do that anymore. So
even if you're evil, at least like keep it on the same keep your trajectory the same. Like, I would rather have a person who's just evil than this like punk ass bullshit where you rally against the thing that's supposedly evil, sometimes even correctly, and then the second it becomes a paycheck for you, oh, sorry about that, Mr. Eli Lilly, we gotta we'll make as many drugs as you want. I don't give a fuck. Remember, who pumped billions of dollars into the quote evil, horrible pharmaceutical companies with Operation Warp Speed? Donald James Tiberius Kirk Trump, whatever is the J. James. Is it John? It's not James. Okay, Donald John Trump. I thought it was James. Donald J. Trump did that. I thought it was James. Donald Jumbo Trump.
Jumbo Trump. Oh my God.
Jambalaya Trump. But yeah, we're just here again.
Who cares, honestly?
We've done the same thing. This is just another instance of the Democrats taking some opportunity to have some kind of leverage and do something with it, and they don't. Right. And I'm watching even like lefty quote people be like, well, you see what other move were they supposed to do? It's like, oh, so grow up. That's what you're telling me once again. Grow up. Embrace the utopia. Eventually, if we're all nice enough to them, the Democrats will decide to give us a nice country.
No, yeah, and that's the thing too, because you're also in that breath appropriating more say-so and more authority onto the government than they actually have anymore. And again, we can thank Reagan and Clinton for this, because they have had peace and parceled off the government to these corporations and allowed them to dictate policy. And this is what you get. You get an ineffective, completely stalemate, entirely lame duck government that can't do or control anything. And they're just...
Is everybody excited for Trump? What is it? Trump impeachment number 3. That'll be next year. We'll have a whole year.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
we're gonna really get them this time.
We're gonna get them this time, that's for sure. So yeah, this is all for show, to get people arguing about shit that doesn't matter, instead of looking at we got to look at like less culture war, more class war, because that's where we really are. We are divided. When they keep us just arguing about stupid shit, we're just circling the drain even further and doing their bidding, and that's where we need to stop this cycle. So the question is like, okay. Like, I don't like, you got libs are angry right now for a few minutes. I don't like where they did this. I don't, I'm not happy about this, whatever. So we get more and more, more people coming in. Like, good. Okay. If you can stay really mad and do that.
They're so mad. They're almost on the verge of doing something.
Right. Almost. Yeah. They might even put on 2 stupid hats. But the fact of it was, yeah, that's a good one. Exactly this. Because, while they're keeping you distracted, while they're keeping you tired, while they're keeping you jobless, while they're keeping you hungry, they are still winning at the game. They are the players of the game, but the pieces are being moved around by the corporations. Your enemies, as you've been told for generations, are the pharmaceutical industries and are the insurance industries. But moreover, it is the the billionaire technocrats that are your enemies. Those are the people who are overtaking every other industry imaginable. They're the ones that are ruining life at lightning speed at this point. So these are the people that we need to be fighting against. And that is when more and more people are being forced into poverty, people who never thought that they could be, then we're and again, as we've talked about before, we're now, and then local jurisdictions and laws are against homelessness, criminalizing it. Then we're talking about a homeless encampment, it being, which is a concentration camp being made in Utah. So like that, and there's a cop city in every major city. We're continually funneling people into poverty to be able to criminalize them and put them into camps and then use them as free and forced labor. It is slavery. It is a new form and face of slavery. And that's not me being facetious, that's me being literal. So if we don't get ahead of this right now, what comes next? Then we absolutely have. Right now we're looking at our first trillionaire person, like at the same time that poverty levels are outrageously insane. So there has to be a time that's like a call to action here.
I'm reading through Marx and just talk because you said first trillionaire. I'm just reading through it.
Well, actually, I got a
tables.
thing I wanted to read real quick. I have a bullet point here. I have this book. Yeah, I never read. I have this. Okay, like so. If you
you read.
Yeah. The thing is like I keep this book at hand. This was published in 1999, and I'll tell you what it is here in a second because it's kind of silly. But if you were in the 90s, if you grew up in the 90s, then you probably remember. Probably at the time, the most famous TV psychic was a woman named Sylvia Brown. And she was, she worked with the cops a lot. She was kind of hit and miss, but some things she was pretty good at be spot on about. She went on Montel Williams' show about once a week. So I have a few of her books. They're out of print. I used to like to read them when I was young. And I have this one that I keep at hand because it was written prior to the year 2000. And it had some predictions about what happens post 2000. And again, hit and miss. She predicted COVID like we were talking about. Right. But I flagged a couple of things in here because I check it every few years to see it's like, oh, did that happen? Yes or no? And then she talks about all stuff like everything from celebrities. But there's a couple of little points in here that are political that I thought were neat that I wanted to mention. So again, this came out in 1999. One of the points that she says is neither Warren Beatty nor Donald Trump has any success in politics. Well, we're about 50% on that one because one of those people didn't. I'd be willing to say that Trump is probably the most commercially successful president there's ever been. But that was not really my main point. But just the point is that he's not been a successful president, but he's definitely been made himself like a ton of money.
Commercially successful president.
Commercially successful. But the real point I want to make is she predicts at least sometime between now or between the year 2000 and 2099, like 100 within 100 years, that the office of the president of the United States will be eliminated. Our government will instead return to the structure of a Greek Senate system. Now, she doesn't elaborate on that.
I think it's been eliminated by essentially, you can call it an AI if you want to be inflammatory, but it's my whole theory of the machine is just going under its own power, and
Skynet.
Nobody's making decisions. No individuals are making decisions. The machine is just geared toward the interest of a very small group of people who are above our government on the corporate. Think of it as the big bunch. The corps run the government, to be very simple.
And then that's kind of the point I'm getting at is I have had
Senate of corporations.
I've had that little kernel of thought in my head since I was a kid when I originally read this book. And I thought my thought was always like, could it be? Could we do that? Is it possible? Well, first of all, it would be a good idea to have like more than one like figurehead at the top, but that also implies that there would be a functioning government in some capacity that, that responsibility therein. And that's kind of what we're talking about when we're saying we need to solve these problems and what we've been talking about the past few weeks about how boycotts do work and they're not, general strikes do work and they're not as complicated as you think. It literally is. We don't go on Facebook for one day and see how they like that. It can be that simple. You don't shop at Target for one day and see how they like that. And then as soon as they find out that people understand their collective power, which they have been eroding in promoting the idea of rugged individualism since like basically the car company started that shit. But the idea of this is if we had a functioning government, that would be a much more functional system. And I've always found that little thought interesting. Whether she'll be correct about that or not remains to be seen. But we are, as Jared said, headed towards, if not already, an automated government because they are so ineffectual and they are so just false and fake because they don't actually represent anything. So anytime that you get all juiced up about a local election and, you've are basically stuck in this situation, that's why we see with, the whole Zoran Mamdani thing where everybody was just so juiced to vote him in. Everybody's so excited. All the liberals are just like doing the dance of joy. But, like I said, we're about a week away.
And the Democrats said, yeah, fuck you, I guess.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right.
Bring it back
Yeah,
to
and
our last
that,
story.
yeah, and then the whole time they're like, "Oh, I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna. I don't." You know, they were wishy-washy about the whole thing because they don't necessarily know if they have full control over him or if he's going to be a firebrand and be a troublemaker of some kind, and he won't be. You know, people don't get into politics these days because they think they can change the world. They get into politics for social climbing reasons, for money reasons, for I've seen that the meme before. You probably have too, where if they had to wear, like in NASCAR, if they had to wear their sponsors like on their clothes, things would be a lot different,
I had that same
so
joke in my head with Mom Downey. I'm like, just stick a big Deutsche Bank shit right in
right,
his
yeah,
chest.
and that's the thing too. There's some pretty nasty business when it comes to who is getting elected and who this new hero who rises, because again we get into that Marvel brain of the hero will rise, and that's like the first thing we need to stop doing is stop living in the fantasy world about like who can save us. We just need the next politician and the next guy and the next Democrat. I have literally heard liberals say Biden is going to save us, like when the last election happened, or Biden's election, and one of them. It's been so many, and they all blend together at this point. They're all horrible, but it's we get to the point here. I get to the point here. You gotta reject the system. That's like number one. Like if you're listening to this, you're probably at least on the cusp of that idea. And it probably scares you if you've been a lifelong voter. It's like, what, do I just stop voting? Yeah, you do. Like that's like literally it. You just stop
Vote
voting.
when it matters, but you'd be shocked at how few times it matters.
Right. Yeah, and your vote
Vote on
when
your
you're not or not
propositions,
vote
please.
doesn't make any difference. There was a big clue to this during Biden's campaign and before everybody had dropped out of the race in favor of him. There was a big clue, and I think it was in Nevada or something. When they first had I think they get the first primary, or they did at the time. There's a lot of things to remember, but they had them all together, and he was fairly lucid at the time. But Bernie obviously was the standout. Like he was, everybody was still, had Bernie fever. We're going to do Bernie part 2. He, lost out the last time. We're going to get it this time, right? And Biden was barely polling. Like he had like 2% of like the Democratic,
back
field.
when he was a joke, and then they had everybody drop out except for Liz Warren, the only person who could split the vote between Bernie Sanders and anyone.
Correct. And the thing of it is that they had everybody sitting together, and then Biden goes, well, when we win, we're going to this and we're going to that. And when we win, we're going to this, we're going to that. And then the commentator or the interviewer, I don't remember exactly who said it or was involved leading it, the conversation said, you're barely polling. What do you mean we? You're barely polling. And then he just kind of froze.
He knew something we didn't know.
He did. That's what I'm getting at. He just kind of froze, and he goes, we're going to win. And it wasn't like inspiring. It was like, I'm telling you already.
So, I was told by the 6 CEOs that own me that I'm winning.
Yeah, no. He's like, no, we're going to win. And it wasn't like he was not saying it as a way of like, yeah, we're going to win.
Confused, like, no, they just told me, man.
Right, yeah.
They just said I'm going to win. What do you mean?
Right. And then like it was very ominous. We always talk about him being stupid and like a gaff machine, but like no, it was like super ominous about it. And like when I saw that moment, I was like, okay, yeah, this is already decided.
Biden's like funny in the same way that George W. Bush is funny, because it's like, oh, look at this silly old guy. Then you look into his family, like, oh my god. You look into the Bush family, like, holy shit, they've been involved in so many large scale crimes.
And he was like the first idiot president. Well, not really first. Like there were other idiot presidents, but the first, yeah, but the first one.
I say Reagan, because Reagan was like basically lobotomized, like he didn't have a brain.
Yeah, he was completely Alzheimer's by the end. And they're definitely, and Gerald Ford fell down all the time, and everybody used to make fun of him and things like that.
They love a motherfucker who cannot think.
Right, yeah. No, that was like the whole idea. But like the first really like big idiot president was George W. Bush, like because he was such a distraction in himself. He was completely unqualified to do this. His father only served one term, and before that he was the vice president to Reagan. Like everybody already hated that guy. So like they get his idiot son in there, and then like this guy's so dumb. Like, how dumb is he? This guy is so dumb that like everything he did was stupid. Like he couldn't pronounce words correctly. Like people were throwing shoes at him. Like everything, mission accomplished. Like everything was so stupid. Like that. Like he just himself served as a distraction. And then obviously like 9/11 happens on his watch, and he's even a distraction from that. So like that was a winning formula for the people at the the corporations. They realized right away, if we get somebody stupid or annoying or who just says whatever the hell comes out of like the top of their head out of their mouth, like Trump. Like that doesn't even have to make sense. It doesn't have to mean anything. They don't have to be qualified. Like that's like their wet dream. Like
Because
that's
the
their
decisions do
vision.
not. Yeah, the decisions don't originate with them, so it's fine.
Yeah, and
Like Biden didn't say I'm gonna win. He was told by the people who he knows in his old ass brain. Oh, they actually make the calls, and they said I'm gonna win.
yeah,
So I'm
and
fine.
then if we check in the chat, Time Traveler says that that what the Democrats essentially did was put in an insurance call to the insurance companies to be like, what are you going to do? What are you going to? And that's part of it too. Like that they can
What do
also
you guys
make a
want?
deal. Like they're all working at the same people. So there are only so many corporations and so many billionaires who are paying for this, and that's why we're always
Remember
paying the Tea Party.
my thing last week with food stamps, where I was talking about how this is a very not even disguised subsidy towards various agricultural companies and Walmart, et cetera, et cetera. Isn't it funny how that one got through no problem? Like we made sure we get that funding back
Right.
because Trump doesn't know that fucks up our entire bullshit
Right,
economy,
exactly.
and that one had to happen.
Yeah. And then we also have
Medical,
Gaming Tim says, I miss Joe Biden with a sad face. I'm sorry that you miss Joe Biden, but you're not going to hear anything
was
positive
fun.
about him here. So the fact of the matter
he was
is,
funny. I'm sad Trump hasn't said anything funny in like a whole
yeah,
2
right. That
months.
was at least the benefit. He would at least insult people really well.
He's not having fun anymore. Nothing he wants to do can get done, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just the bitch boy again."
Yeah,
and it's like,
but
"Yep."
but the thing of it
Yes,
is
you
that's
are.
what going back to what I said about what Sylvia Brown said that Warren Beatty or he would make any would be a success in politics. That depends on your definition of success, because he hasn't been a successful president. His ratings have been just abysmal, like the worst of any president ever. Yet
They were at their height when he was in the beginning, kind of threatening to maybe like when he was knocking out USAID. The Doge stuff that turned out to be fake.
Yeah.
They just took that same money and rolled it right into the military
Right.
budget. They didn't cut a goddamn thing. But in the beginning, yeah, he was popular because they're going through like, holy shit, USAID. All these people who I claim to be feds are being exposed as literally being feds. Oh, Politico is just funded directly by the fucking government. Oh, all these random color revolutions and fake go do this war over here things is just directly paid for by the US. That's when he was at his height. He had a good month, and then the rubber meets the road, and you're like, okay, so we're gonna finalize those cuts, right? And it's like, actually, we're not cutting
No.
a single cent. We're gonna do the largest military budget once again. They break that record all the dang time. It's the easiest record in the world to break, and yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and fill this swamp, not back up, just maintain the level. The level of the swamp is maintained. We're not doing shit with Epstein. We're not doing shit with anything. People's getting as many quadrillions as they want, and everyone just realized now. So now people who came out to Trump's gonna be a difference, they're just like, oh, okay, we'll just like flip back. Like once you see Hispanic people have gone demographically speaking back to Democrats. It's like, well, we guy, and okay, I guess nothing's happening there. Let's vote for this other guy again, and it's just gonna be bring and back and forth.
And that's the entire point that we're making here, is that this is absolutely fucking useless. Like, you are wasting your time, you are wasting your energy. I hope you're not giving them money, for God's sake. But
the Washington Generals, aka the, have once again come out and lost on purpose to the Globetrotters. That's the reference I'm making.
Right. Yeah. Well, see, that's kind of what we're getting at here. Is like, okay, so you want solutions. You want to know what you can do as like a single person. Like, well, first of all, don't trouble yourself with voting. Obviously, that's going to do nothing at this stage.
Vote if you can find one that matters. But if you're like, I'm going to vote for president, it's going to change everything.
No.
Absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. In your local election, sometimes that does make a difference, because sometimes things can get done on the local level. And we're not out of this.
Maybe they're like, should water be clean or not? Vote yes on that one. Vote,
right. Yeah.
vote.
And then there's always, Indiana doesn't have them, but a lot of states do have ballot initiatives where you're like, do we raise the minimum wage? Do we this? Do we that? Do we allow? Are we going to do recreational weed? But
Arizona's like undefeated on propositions. We guess.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it also depends, because I think it was Kansas City, not just now, but like the election before last, they voted to raise their minimum wage, and then the governor was just like, nah.
Arizona voted $15 like 8 years ago, and the courts fought, and the Senate fought, and the state, everybody, not Republicans, not Democrats, Republicans and Democrats. And at the end, it's like, fuck you, we're doing it anyway. They did slow it down to where it was like over a number of years, but it's there, and it's tied slightly to inflation. So every year our minimum wage goes up a little bit, and every year they introduce a thing saying, we need to make propositions really, really hard. And we go, no, we don't. We don't have to do that. They keep changing the rules to make propositions more and more arduous. The way you have to get signatures, they were trying to do it where now, instead of a total number of signatures, it had to be a certain percentage from each county, which for rich people is easy. You just hire people all over the state, blah, got it. But if you're just a random, the citizenry doing it, now you got to drive the fuck out to Cocomino County and get 15,000. You got to go onto the Navajo Nation and get 15,000. No, you can go to Phoenix, get 2 million signatures or whatever, and you're good. And, they're already going to discount half of those. And I'll cut my rant short.
Well, you're completely correct, because that just gets people moving. All you're doing is spinning in circles. You're literally spinning your wheels and thinking that you're doing something important because you brought up in a system that you like you don't know how not to participate in.
It's the only way we've ever been told that things happen.
Yeah, and I used to be really critical of people who said they didn't vote, back in my shitlib days, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't vote? And it's like, and I wasn't one of these every little vote counts people, but I just thought, no, it's like your civic duty to go and do that, right? No, it's not. No, it's not. I was wrong. No, it's not.
You talk to beat down urban African Americans, and they'll give you this script here are all the reasons that voting is bullshit. And as a child, I'm like, oh, my poor guy, you just don't get it. You're just dumb. And then you grow up, you're like, oh no, I'm dumb. You're right. You're 100% nailing it.
Yeah, no, right, exactly, because especially that's an excellent example, because who do things not change forever? Black people and brown people and immigrants, they're always target number one. They get promised whatever. They don't even get promised anything anymore, but they used to get promised.
There used to be a promise.
Yeah, that used to be a selling point. Now they don't even care, but they used to be a selling point about we're going to do this for you and we're going to do that for you and blah 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 blah. And you can go back to looking at the things that Obama ran on, and immediately that shit went out the window. So that's what we're trying to say here. It's we're millennials ourselves on this show.
Yes.
And but we know that we've got a couple of generations here below us that are of voting age. So because we're old.
Some of them are hitting it for the
One
first
of
time.
us is old.
Zoran was their first.
One
was
of us
their
is
Obama.
still enjoying his youth. One of us is old, but
I'm already pretty old. I already got no hair. Hey, I wanted to throw out because we got 10 minutes left. And I got to switch over and start reading. Yeah. I wanted to bring up just because you probably saw the 50-year mortgages.
Yeah, and this is all part of it too. This is how not to fix things, but how to give a handout to banks.
50-year mortgages. I did not have a good handle on compound interest until I read Michael Hudson. Michael Hudson, the greatest person ever. He is my personal Jesus Christ. You should go read Michael Hudson. He's amazing. What he talks about how the ancient scribes back in frickin' Egypt, because the compound interest has existed as an idea for a very, very long time, and they would talk about the quote rule of doubling. How long does it take for this debt at this percentage to double? If you take a loan out for $5, when do you owe 10? When is that fully doubled? And you would be shocked. So here we go. The rule of 72. I would never hold this in my head because I'm kind of dumb. But if you divide if you divide 0.5 by 72, you get 138. If you had a mortgage rate of 0.5%, it would take 138 years for it to double. Let's up that to the big pie in the sky number that no one can get currently. 2%. How long does it take you to have to pay for your house twice? If you have your mortgage for 35 years, not too short of actually, if I can be more specific, here's my rate. I'm at 2.8. I'm one of the extremely blessed millennials who got a house right as COVID was fucking everybody over. It was extremely lucky, and I would not be in my house if it wasn't for that. So if you're in at 2.8, it takes my mortgage 25 years to double. If you are at the current normal mortgage rate of 5%, if you have your 15-year mortgage, which we could not afford, we got a 30-year mortgage, you are at 14.2 years for you to have to pay for your house twice. If you never miss a single mortgage payment on your 15-year mortgage, you are literally paying for your house twice. And that is already a whole scam that I'm not going to freaking get into. But every 14 years, it doubles. How many 14 years happens in 50 years? See what I'm getting at? You are paying for your house an additional time. It's not that, I'm paying a bit more in my thing. You are tripling, quadrupling, depending on the situation, the cost of your house. If you buy a $200,000 house at 5% interest, which is, it's really closer to 6 and 7% is the actual interest rate, every 15 years, your loan has doubled. You have now bought a, quote, $1 million house for $200,000 if you do a 50-year mortgage.
Insane.
50
insane. Years. Insane. And this goes back to what you talk about often about the you will own nothing and you will be happy.
This is the right-wing version of that. The
Yeah.
left people are like, you're gonna own nothing and you'll love it. We're gonna rent everything. You're gonna live in a pod. We're gonna give you a bug slurry because
Yeah, right?
farming is cruel, so we can't possibly do that. And then
Yes.
you have the right wing who are like, well, okay, that's ridiculous. That's crazy libtard shit.
Mhm.
We instead will propose that you simply rent your house from the bank for your entire life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the whole thing. That's just another thing. I mean, we're talking
Buy your
about
house at 20. You're 70 and you still don't own your fucking
right.
house.
Yeah, that is insanity, and that's just another, another thing. And they're trying to act like, oh, we're doing this for you, so younger people can afford a house. No, you're not. You're just turning a house into an apartment. You've done nothing that's actually helped anybody. So it's like, oh, what am I going to pay? Like, 1,000 times more over the course of this time to be able to
If
do
your
this.
rate is 6% and you do a 50-year mortgage, you pay for your house 5 fucking times.
Yeah, insane. So no, and the 30-year mortgage is a bad idea.
Yeah, the
This is-
30-year already sucks. That's what we're in, and I'm determined to pay it off in 20 or 14 or whatever I can.
I have known people who have are in their 70s and they just paid off a 30-year. And like
Because they probably did a refi at some point. They probably had to double mortgage their house to do another thing. Oh, we got to fix the backyard better. Like,
right, yeah, we got to make some major improvements or something, some such. And then they count on this because who do you have to go to you go to your mortgage broker, you go to the bank, you go to somewhere for a loan, and then like it keeps leveraging the cost over time. And this is in another thing, like going back to healthcare, like we were talking about, you would pay ostensibly less out of your check a week for funding of like universal health care than you are now paying for individual health care. And I heard somebody say a few with the ACA that they're all begging that, and yes, sir, may have another scenario. Like I heard something a few weeks ago, and I haven't really been able to see anybody talking about this in a major way, but someone talking about like, okay, well, my family's premium is like in excess of tens of thousands of dollars a year already. But if I didn't have insurance, it would be like $2,500 for my whole family. So it's like, what if I just drop my insurance and then just go and say I'm not insured, and then they have to do whatever anyways, and then like I get the non-insured rate. So I've heard people talk this sort of, or I've heard someone talk about this, but
insured rate.
But in like, and that's a thing too. Like I know people would be afraid to give up their insurance, but that's another way to look at things as well. If people start looking at, if that's true, and people start looking at their options in a different way, that is how you fight this system, and that is how we do that, or collective bargaining essentially. And I'm really tired of this argument of like, we could easily do Medicaid for all or Medicare for all. We just, first year is this many, and then the second year is this many. No. Like we do it right now on the spot, bang the gavel, everybody healthcare now. Like that's all. That's the whole scenario right there. And something else that you'll hear, a lot of disabled people will tell you this, and a lot of people, because they've had experience with this, and older people will tell you this. Medicare is garbage, and Medicare Advantage plans are actual fucking scams.
You just
The
get
whole
to
thing breaks down. I
buy-
don't have time to get into it all right now, but just a quick overview here.
It's like a Hulu membership. You don't get shit with the base.
Yes, you get like after you turn 65, you get access to what's called Part A and Part B, and they cover nothing.
Part D for your
Part
drugs.
D is the it's for medications. It covers nothing. And then they talk you into getting a Part C, and that's called a Medicare Advantage plan, and that covers nothing. So like it's all it's complete absolute fucking scam. You actually get nothing.
You have to
Now,
buy private insurance to supplement your shitty government insurance that doesn't even cover anything.
Yes, you do. And you have to. But if you are an impoverished person and you can get on you're qualified for Medicaid, which again is not easy, that covers everything. And so it should never have ever been
everything that they decide to cover.
Yes, everything
the same
that
fights where it's like, is this medically necessary? Like,
yeah, everything that they reject, Medicaid covers. So the fact of the matter is that the argument should never have been Medicare for. I know it's confusing. It should have never been Medicare for all. When Bernie proposed that was already a fucking scam, like the ACA.
A big
it should
compromise.
never have been.
It was already toned this shit down 50 levels to make it palatable, and they're still like, no.
If it wanted a catchy name for it, it should have been Medicaid for all.
Sure.
But that is, that's why, a lot of people who know or are a bit experienced with this horrible system know this already. And we say, no, universal health care, stop trying to make up funny names for it. And it can be implemented right now. It could have been implemented 5 years ago, as we've talked about. And it's the same thing with the stupid 50-year mortgage thing. It's just, exacting more a higher and higher pound of flesh for just existing in this country. And now we're starting to see a lot of so many people leaving the country on a permanent basis that they're trying to think of reasons and to stop letting people out of the country, or say your kids can't go because they can't make a decision, like it's not their decision to make. So
if you want to talk about, you're talking about how we have like solutions and everything's a bummer. If you want an actual, not even changing or breaking the system, actual solution that could be done tomorrow by anybody who wants to, if you add up the percentages, you got about 20% of people on Medicare, 20% of people on Medicaid. So you're about 40, you're nearly half of the country already. And then if you start counting like kids and other things, you could probably roughly say about half the country. We'll do 40% just to be nice here. So when these various medical companies receive payouts from the government just directly, it's just subsidies. They just directly hand them, like if a medicine costs $1,000, which, those prices are already complete freaking nonsense. If it costs $1,000 and you pay zero, that means the government wrote a check to a private company for $1,000. When they start covering Ozempic here in a little bit, RFK, don't know how that became one of your priorities. Ozempic costs $1,300 a dose, and now they're going to take it down to $300, and that means that the government gave them $1,000. It doesn't mean they said, "Oh, we're just going to lower the price to be a nice guy." Hey, no, that means that got paid out. So if tomorrow the government says, "All right, we are 40% of your fucking income. We've decided we're paying $1."
Yeah.
Your options are to go out of business because 40% of your money just disappeared, or to rearrange your business to make those prices acceptable. And if they aren't acceptable, hey, that's a great time for the government. I hate our current government. A government that isn't super comically evil to swoop in the people, and like actually run that kind of thing. Like, yes, we could run this at far lower costs because we aren't spending money on TV advertising and just funneling 90% of all of our money directly to like the guy who owns us. Right. If you don't do that, healthcare is shockingly cheap. That's how you end up with China. China's not free or universal healthcare. It's just if you have a big ass problem and you go to the hospital and you have to get hospitalized, or actually, better example, pregnancy. Heard about somebody's pregnancy from beginning to end. Every doctor visit, the day they spent in the hospital for the delivery, every prescription, everything for a foreigner was $600. And it's like, I would happily pay $600 cash. That's reasonable. That's like bringing your car into the shop for some shit. Like, that's fine.
Yes, exactly. It absolutely is. And it's like, and we bring up China constantly, but it's like other countries can manage this shit.
It's the only first world country we got anymore.
Right. Yeah. And why was one of Bernie's dumbass things is like, okay, well, we need to get medicine from Canada. No, we don't. Like, we don't need to do that.
It'll just go up the same way. If you keep things the same, things will end up the same.
Yeah, no, this obviously has to change by legislation, which is dictated by corporations that aren't going to let you do that. And if you think that the tech companies aren't involved, they definitely are, because Amazon and all kinds of shit want to offer you insurance plans and things like that, and a drug, co-op to buy into. So it's like they're your real enemy. That's the headline of this episode, is that they are your enemy. You've been told that, oh yeah, the logging and the oil industry and stuff like this, and everything is being taken over. Everything, including insurance and drug dispersal, is being taken over by the tech companies because they have their eye on everything. So, the building industries and everything.
There was no opportunity for popular input on any of our things, which directly leads to all of our problems.
That's where we're going to go into our bonus episode is when Jared gets into his reading. He's going to, further explain this in a more intellectual way.
I'm not explaining shit. Engels is going to explain some shit in a pamphlet from like 200 years ago that identifies all these problems. And the whole point of any of this is you don't have to reinvent the wheel, everybody. They've done a lot of this thinking for you. You can skip ahead to current day theory and not have to litigate shit from the 1700s.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
And and that's where we are right now, because we want to let you know that, like, you feel powerless, and you basically are, but there are small ways that we can work together.
We are not powerless.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You are powerless.
You are powerless. Yeah, we are not.
Right. And as soon as people start to understand how to work together better and how to, exact that power, withholding your vote is a personal thing. Boycotts are a personal thing that you can do just by, not buying something that, sends money to Israel or gives free product to Israel. There you go. And then they tried to make that illegal.
Every VPN in the world is owned by Israel. I just found out, and that makes me real mad.
Right.
NordVPN. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're trying to say. So it's like, no, we don't have like a punch list of solutions because so everything's so convoluted. But you can see now, I hope from this what we've discussed here, that these things are all connected. This in collusion is our word of the day here. Collusion. Collusion is because the Democrats and the Republicans are colluding with each other and with the revolving villain and with these corporations, because these corporations, these PACs, these whatever you want to call it, in whatever form, dark money, whatever you like, are paying them both. So, there's short game and there's long game. And it's like, who are you
And they don't
paying
give
more
a shit
to?
who's running. Like that's what my underlying point of this. It's like
It doesn't
you
matter.
can all day pretend that there is a difference in Republicans and Democrats. You know who doesn't? The people who run shit. They don't
Right.
care.
They don't
Pfizer
care.
goes right and back forth, red, blue, blah, woo. They'll say
Yeah.
whatever is advantageous to pursue
Right.
their class interest, which is
Yes.
all I say we should do. It's fair is fair. We were shown no mercy. We shall show no mercy. That
Yeah.
sounds terroristic. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
jumping off to grab some stuff. I'll be right back
Yeah.
with some socialism, scientific, and utopian.
Yes.
Nicolette, run us out.
Yes, and so thank you for joining us. We are going to jump back on here for a bonus episode where he's gonna give us some historical context on what we've been talking about here today. And again, if there's anything you want us to talk about directly, hit us on our socials. We're on what is it, Twitter and Blue Sky, Rumble, YouTube. You can find us. Social Contract @one Social Contract. It's on my handle. And we're around. You can find us. We can talk about it. And we we want to be more solutions based, but there's so many problems to sort through that we generally don't always get to say like the obvious thing, which is like, hey, we could not do this, and this is how we could not do this. So we're gonna jump off for a minute, and then we will be back in just probably a few minutes with another episode. So just stay close and to your computer, and then you can hear our next episode. So thank you. And if you can't be here live, again, you can check out our archive on YouTube and on Rumble. Again, Social Contracts, you can find us that way. So thanks for joining us, and we will be back at you here in a few minutes with another all new episode of the Gloom and Doom Hour. So see you in a little bit.